Hello everyone, I hope you're doing good. Today we're going to start with our module number 11, negative messages. This module has been divided into two parts. This is part one. Now in the module, um, this one I've done is I've created four key objectives, learning objectives, part one. The first one is about concept in communication. I'll explain very basically at a layman term that why we discuss negative messages or bad news. Then I'll go into three magical phrases that business professionals, leaders, they use in such situations when they come in such situations. And I'll cover that with, let's say, example. And then we'll have three tips from medical doctors. So medical doctors also come across many situations where they have to disclose to patients' relatives, a news that is unpleasant. So how they do that, we'll cover that. And in the end, we have 5 rules to deliver bad news. Let's jump directly into the first one. Concept in communication, bad or negative news. What exactly, why we have to study this? Now, bad news or negative news messages delivers news that audience does not want to hear, read, or receive. It's obvious. Delivering negative news is never easy. Whether you are informing someone they are being laid off or providing constructive criticism on their job performance. How you choose to deliver the message can influence its responses. Some people prefer their bad news to be direct or concise, and others may prefer less direct approach. Regardless of whether you determine a direct or indirect approach, your job is to deliver news that you anticipate will be unwelcome, unwanted, and possibly dismissed. All right, so this is what the concept here is. We have to do this. Now, the three magical phrases, the second learning objective. And I've written here indirect, so it's kind of an indirect. So leaders, managers, supervisors, and many good employees also who understand this, they use three phrases, and in those three phrases, they are using these words that I've written here. The reason. So in a phrase, this is the reason that this is happening. Or in the second one, so that you. And third one is, would you like that? Let's put all of these in an example. Now I've created a sample example for you. Let's say there is a customer who purchased a vacuum cleaner from Extra store, from a super electronic store, Extra. Now he took the vacuum cleaner home. He started working. It's working perfectly fine. But after a few months, the vacuum cleaner stopped working. The customer purchased this at a high price. So he's not happy. He is not happy at all that why my vacuum cleaner stopped working. Now he writes to the Extra electronic store a complaint message. All right, that I purchased this from your store. It's been only few months now. It stopped working. I need a refund or an exchange on this product immediately. Not just that, maybe he'll ask and deliver this. You send your people here to pick it up from my home and deliver a new piece. All right, a new piece, a new product to my place. So he can write such things. Now, when it comes to us as an Extra, let's say an Extra store manager reads about it, or a customer service head of customer service reads about this complaint. Now he has to come up with a reply which satisfies the customer, which gives that, okay, let's see the situation. Now the customer returned complaining about this product maybe after 3 months or maybe after 4 months, and there is a policy in place by Extra, that electronic store, that you can actually, there's a warranty on the product for 2 months, that is 60 days, and you can even exchange it with a new product or any other product, or you can even return a refund in 60 days, within the 60 days. Now this person has writing this maybe after 3 months, 90 days, or maybe more than 60 days for sure. So we have to give him, firstly, in reply, we have to give him a reason that we are not in a position that we will be giving you a new product, because of the policy that is in place with our organization. Okay, because it's, so, but however, you will start that we understand that you are going, you are frustrated about a product which is a good product, which sells good, which we never received that many complaints about, or we never received complaint about it. So we understand your situation. So in the beginning, you say that we understand your situation. How, and there is a policy that if any product is malfunction, within the 60 days, we will, you can have an exchange of it, or you can get a new product of that, or you can also apply for a refund. You actually explain that, the reason. Okay. Then you have to give a benefit statement to that. So how we can do that? Now, we have engineers, in-house engineers, who can see what's wrong with your product. All right. So can you send the product to our store by post? With that, we also send, let's say, 100 real check with us, because if it's in Saudi Arabia, 100 real or dollars, like say $45, $50 check with that product. And our engineers who are expert, who are specialized, they can look into the product and they can see if what's wrong with that. All right. And in the end, right, the leading line. So in case they find that they can fix the problem, they can repair it, we'll use the same amount that you have sent for, let's say, their service charges. We'll use the same amount for the repair also. Okay. And in the end, when you're closing this, when you're giving the reason, so that so benefit, we are giving them a benefit that we have engineers, and then the closing, would you like that offer? Offer that something that we have given the reason we cannot refund. Then we told them that there are engineers in our organization that can fix. You send us little money, they can see for the service charges, and if they can fix, we can use the same money for the fix. And then, would you like to have that? End of the day, they feel they are getting something. All right. So this is like a scenario like many managers use, that they give the reason, and in the between they give some benefits, and in the last you offer something. Okay. So that's we call 3 magical phrases, indirect approach to that situation. Let's move to the doctors one. 3 tips coming from the medical doctors. This is more of a direct approach, and we call them the power phrases, okay, that they use. Now, I would say that the first thing, now let me just give you a scenario here again. So there's a surgeon who is about to do a surgery for a patient. Let's say it's a knee surgery, all right? And patient do have some chronic symptoms of, let's say, high BP, some constipation issues. So the medication that the doctors might use after antibiotics may affect the patient, and it can prolong the recovery period also. However, the thing is with the doctors that they are very direct. What's going to happen and when it's going to happen, all right? They are very, very direct about it. It is kind of a thing that the attitude that I've written here, attitude is they're direct, they're crystal clear initially, and at the same time, they're quite diplomatic. So the attitude is that they are very direct, that this is a surgery and what's going to happen with you, all right, during the surgery. And if in case, for example, there's a rare chance that your surgery, that maybe there are only 3% chances that there will be a complication in your surgery. or 4% chance. They are very clear at the beginning. They are not actually doing a fluff kind of a thing. They're not creating that buffer kind of a thing. All right. Doctors are very clear from the beginning. Okay. Clarity. Now they explain things with clear message. They're not sugarcoating anything. All right. That is basically clarity. They explain things step by step, step by step. This will happen, this will happen, this will happen. So more clarity is there. And last, the ability to answer questions. Basically, if the relatives have questions, if the patient has questions, doctor is always ready to answer them. Those questions, sometimes, this question actually gives confidence. Patients will have confidence in doctors. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He knows the knowledge. Now, when we talk about attitude, going back there, you have to be direct, you have to be diplomatic, crystal clear what's going to happen. Doctors also show empathy in between. That empathy is shown through concern. It increases their credibility, and this eventually shows connections. So the three tips from the medical doctors is attitude, that they have an attitude of telling the from the very beginning without any buffer kind of a situation. Tell them crystal clear, diplomatically, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Clarity is there, right? There's no sugar coated that this happened, this happened. No. And they can answer the questions of any doubts patients will have or relatives could have, all right, in this situation. So, yeah. Now, 5 rules for how we deliver bad news. Now, number one. So what I've done here, I actually tried to combine both of the phrases and with the doctor tips, and then we come across these five, let's say, tips, 5 rules. If you follow them, excellent. Now, just a summary. Sometimes this is necessary to deliver bad news. We all understand that to customer or end user. As an example, when it comes to business settings, let's say, an order might not ready when it was promised. A project might end up costing more than was projected, or a software application might not be ready for installation according to schedule. Regardless of the nature of the bad news or who is at fault, there are both good and bad ways to deliver. Our ability to handle the delivery of bad news in a professional manner can make difference between satisfied customer or end user and one is deeply dissatisfied. Now, what are the 5 rules here? Earlier is better. Okay, so deliver the bad news as early as possible. Even a warning that bad news is coming can be helpful. Bad news should never come as a surprise. Whatever you do, don't make jokes about the bad news or treat it lightly. Also, be as clear as possible and get right to the point. Number 2, be candid about the facts. What I mean here is don't try to gloss over anything. And under no circumstances should you lie. Third is justify and explain the reasons why we did this. Explain what happened, why it happened, and any recommendations or any remediations, steps that have been taken. What we are giving, what we are doing in return. Look for any positives. This is not about creating spin. It's about providing an honest appraisal of the situation, including any positive aspects. For example, suppose a software deployment cost more than projected because an older version of software was no longer available, and the newer version was more expensive. Be sure to mention any valuable new benefit achieved by migrating to a newer version of the software. This is an example full of positives. Last, always treat people with compassion, empathy, dignity, and respect. Try to put yourself in other person's position. So when we talk about doctors, they know what a patient and the relatives will go through. So they show empathy here, connection to feel. Imagine how he or she might be feeling. Imagine how you would react if same thing happened to you. Try to see the situation from other person perspective. If the bad news is going to cause the other person considerable pain or discomfort, think of ways you might be able to minimize or alleviate the pain. It's never enjoyable delivering or hearing bad news, obviously. Now, again, lastly, I want to conclude here by saying that be empathetic. We can minimize its negative impact on our relationship, both in business and personally, if we follow these rules. Thank you very much. See you in the next part.